Let's begin. I'm Ellen. I'm here to do a little gentle movement practice with you to increase your awareness and reduce the risk of ergonomic injuries that are cumulative over time. Okay, we tend to assume positions and maintain them for long periods of time, and we know on some level that maintaining static postures greatly increases our ergonomic risk. But the nature of our work is such that we tend to assume a lot of very forward body favoring postures. And today I thought we would focus on the shoulders because they're under so much strain because our work is so much with hands and arms. So we're going to focus on the shoulders, and let's start by doing that as we sit for a few moments. Okay, we're going to sit. You can sit in a chair. I'm sitting on the floor. I'd like you to sit with your hands supported. If you're sitting on the floor with your hands supported on your thighs. If you're sitting on a chair, you can just place your hands down on your thighs, okay? And I want you to move your hands gently up and down between your knees and the hips with the attention on the front of the shoulder, okay? The area joining between your upper arm and your collarbone. The slowest, most intentional movement you can possibly think of. It doesn't have to be, well, actually, it's always good to coordinate the movement with the breath. So why don't we inhale as we slide the hands towards the knees. No, that's the exhalation. And inhale as we bring the hands in towards the hips. Okay, slowly, slowly. And exhale as we move the hands along the thighs towards the knees. So we're just bringing our attention to the breath as a way of moving into the area of the body that needs our attention. Today we've chosen to pay attention to the shoulders, okay? And as we inhale, there's an opening of the front of the chest, the front of the shoulders, and a moving in of the vertical side of your shoulder blades towards the spine in the back, so that there's an opening in the front and a closing in the back. And as we exhale, the back stretches gently, the muscles of the upper back as the scapulae move away from each other, and the chest is closed off. So we're building this movement like actually we build every movement around the breath. A gentle attention to the movement of the shoulders in this one plane of motion, okay? The tip of your upper arm here, the upper arm bone, is moving forward. A forward rotation, and then backward. Okay, and the lower tip of your wing bone is moving out away from the spine and back in towards the spine. So of all the joints in our body, the shoulder actually has the widest range of motion. Okay, but it's very, very unlike the hip, which is the other ball and socket joint in the body. It's very shallow. So a lot of the work is left up to the soft tissues and the muscles. Maybe you could say a little bit less up to the structure, the actual alignment of the bones. The soft tissues do a lot of work for us in the shoulders. So we have to pay them some attention, okay? Now there's a lot of stuff that we do when we're working at the desk that over time creates a weakness or strain in the shoulders. We have spoken a lot, I've spoken a lot about the strain that is carried in the shoulders when forearms are not supported. But reaching forward for a keyboard or mouse, for example, also is very compressive, compresses the front of the shoulders and then weakens the back of the shoulders. So the shoulders are very deserving of our attention. And although in theory they have a big range of motion, that full range might not be available to any one of us at all times because of like past injury or repetitive strain from work, all kinds of reasons. So there's no reason to do, the shoulder joint requires a lot of attention. Shoulders and knees are the most vulnerable joints in the body, okay? So we need to listen. We need to listen to them and we need to be very gentle. So we're going to start right now. We've already begun with a very gentle movement of the shoulder to increase our awareness of it's moving in this range of motion, just a forward and back rotation. Attention on these muscles here in the front of the shoulder and the muscles that join the shoulder to the scapula, okay? Now we're going to bring our attention to the muscles that join the shoulder blades in the back to the spine, okay? And at the same time, of course, as we pay attention to those muscles, we're going to be moving these shoulders through a rather extended range of motion. So let's start with our thumb and index finger on the ground, palms facing behind you, okay? And then notice the shoulders, okay? Notice how the front of the upper arm bone of the humerus is tipping forward. Okay, if you happen to have a tattoo here or an imaginary tattoo, just imagine showing it to somebody in front of you, all right? So the arms are tipped a little bit forward in the shoulder joint, and we let those arms float up to shoulder height, okay? Let's just do that very, very slowly. Pay attention to what's going on in the front of the shoulder, also in the top of the shoulder, okay? Something is lifting those shoulders up, and it's the muscle group here, the deltoids, as well as what joins the shoulders to the skull. So let's notice what's lifting, what's contracting, and what is stretching, what is opening, which is the muscles joining your back body to the arm. And then imagine that you're being fully supported by something that's very resistant here, like a shelf made out of thick air. Okay, feel some support for your arms here. Then continue the rotation backward as you gently raise your arms up to wherever is comfortable for you today. Now visualize those long, long muscles here, connecting the lower spine to the top of your arm bone of the humerus, okay? An opening is there. That opening is created by a closure, by a contraction somewhere else. In this case, it's the deltoid here and the muscles joining your skull and your shoulder. We have to create a compression somewhere to have an opening somewhere else. Let's press the air back down, stop for a minute, inhale, and release the shoulder blades down your rib cage as you keep your arms in place, okay? And drop the arms back down, paying attention to the bottom point of the triangle that is your shoulder blade. Again, arms up. Let them be pushed up here, okay? We don't want to only compress and pull them up. We can help these working muscles here by just allowing that arm to be caught on an updraft of thick air. Take a moment to support the arms on that air. Release the shoulders, okay? And now spin your thumbs upward, opening the front of the shoulders. Feeling the lengthening of the muscles that attach your lower spine, to the upper arm here, okay? To the scapula as well. And after this, we'll do just one more set. Pay attention here, just feel the support. Inhale, exhale, release the shoulders, let the shoulder blades scoot down the back. You're supported by the air here, and allow some relaxation in this muscle here by turning on the muscles here of the lower spine. Okay, there is a connection, a relationship between the shoulders and the mid back and the lower back. The more we work the lower spine, the more we can give the shoulders a break, okay? One more time. Feel the deltoids, be aware there's a shortening here, a compression in the top and the shoulder neck muscle area to raise the arms up. Something has to raise them. Exhale, let the scapulae, the shoulder blades, slide down the rib cage. Arms are supported here. They don't always have to be supported by something real. We can imagine the support. Then spin the thumbs up. And as the neck shoulder area compresses, there's a lengthening of the large muscles in the back that connect to the shoulder and upper arm. Again, we contract the muscles of the lower spine to release the muscles of the shoulder and neck area. Inhale, exhale, release the shoulders, and bring the arms down. Okay, that was work with the shoulder neck muscles and the large back. Now we're going to work with the upper back muscles, the rhomboids, okay, that join the spine to the shoulder blades. So let's take one arm, grab it at the elbow, and pull that arm in towards your chest. Okay, so what we have here is a pressing of the shoulder blades towards each other, a contraction in the upper back in order to open the chest and also the front of the shoulder, okay? So far, we've worked with back body and front body as opposing muscle groups, but also shoulder and neck area as opposing the muscle groups of the lower back. Right now, we're working with the opposing muscle group of the back body, okay? We're contracting and strengthening the back body to release the chest. This is the opposite of the way that we sit when we're working at a computer, okay? This is the opposite of reaching forward and compressing the front shoulder. We have to open the front shoulder joint as much as we can. Now, take your front hand and roll it down, slide it down towards the wrist, okay? And now pull that shoulder in front of your body so that you're stretching out the area, you're releasing the area between the spine and the shoulder blade of the arm that's being pulled across. Here, it's the opposite. You're closing, you're compressing the front of the shoulder and the front of the chest to release the back. We'll go back to the elbow, okay? We're going to press the elbow into the chest from the front and squeeze the shoulder blades together to press the chest into the elbow from the back. So here we're opening the front body. Keep your lower ribs soft here, okay? We're not going into a full back bend or a spinal extension. Keep your lower spine neutral and your pelvis heavily rooted to the ground. This is all just upper back and shoulder work. Again, revolve the hand around so that the backs of the hands are facing towards each other. As you roll and slide the hand towards the wrist, pull the shoulder blade around, away from the spine, the shoulder around towards the front, so that you're lengthening the muscles of the upper back. And breathe. Wherever we create space, we can focus our attention there. Wherever we create space by a physical movement, we can focus our attention there by concentrating on the breath, okay? Giving that area what it needs. Right now, the breath is there to provide as much expansiveness and opening and freedom for the upper back as possible. One more time. Slide the hand towards the elbow here. Press the elbow towards the chest from the front. And the chest towards the elbow by squeezing the shoulder blades together in the back. Opening the front of the shoulder, the chest, the area that is normally crouched or hunched forward as we work. And one more time, we open. Okay, we pull the shoulder around to the front, lengthening the muscles that connect the spine to the shoulder blade in the back. Breathe into the expanded area, to the released muscles. We send them oxygen, but we also enjoy the space. Okay, we're not aware of how we crowd ourselves in by postures when we work. Here's a chance to create more space in our bodies. Okay, let's take a moment. Again, place your hands here on your legs and take a moment to check in with left side, right side, the front of the shoulder, the rhomboids, the muscles that join your spine, to your shoulder blades in the back. We want to create a feeling of openness and freedom and release. Okay? So there should be a more flowing, energized, activated, relaxed feeling. It's not a contradiction, energized and relaxed. It's relaxing to feel the energy flowing through us instead of like being blocked off by compressive postures. We'll switch hands, okay? We will bring the right elbow in towards the body, pressing it in with the palm of your hand, okay? And pressing elbow to chest and chest to elbow by squeezing the shoulder blades together in the back. There's an opening in the front of the shoulder that results, okay, so we're working within a safe range. We always say we don't work at the end of our range of motion. It's up to everybody in this kind of a situation to know their limits and work safely. Slide the arm, roll the hand, and slide it towards the other wrist so you have back of palm to the back of palm, and here, pull your shoulder across the body, creating a beautiful opening in the back as the scapula, as the shoulder blade moves away from the spine. Okay, so we are contracting the front of the shoulder here, but it is a passive contraction. We're not relying on muscles, we're relying on this sort of closed chain here. It's a passive compression, but it's creating a beautiful opening in the back. That's where we send our breath, remembering that the lungs are in the back body when the front body is closed off. We never want to have a feeling that there's not enough room for the breath. We send the breath somewhere else. We send the breath to the back body. And again, roll and slide your hand up so that you're pressing the elbow into the chest, squeezing the shoulder blades together in the back to press the chest into the elbow. Roll and slide. Pull your shoulder, lengthening as much as possible the muscles that connect the shoulder to the spine and the back body, large muscle groups, your latissimus dorsi, your lats, rhomboids, and we'll do one more set. Roll and slide the hand up, slide if necessary, press the elbow into the chest, squeeze the shoulder blades to press the chest into the elbow, make sure your lower ribs are soft. Take a breath here and just sink again into your sitting bones for support, okay? We always want to use as much structural support as we can to undertax the muscles. There's no reason to tire the muscles of the lower spine if we could just get more support from the actual pelvis. And last time, pull the shoulder around, opening up the back body and breathe into that open space. When the front body is closed off, we maximize the capacity of the lungs in the back body. And release. Placing both hands on the thighs just above the knees. Inhale to the chest. Exhale, let your shoulder blades slide down the rib cage. Relax the shoulders. Again. Inhale to the chest. Exhale, slide the shoulder blades down the rib cage in the back. Make sure your weight has dropped into the pelvis and through the sitting bones to the ground. And now, pay attention to the shoulders, okay? As particularly to this area here. We're going to take one more deep breath before we do this, but we're going to pay attention to the area of the neck and upper shoulders as we raise our hands up and just above the legs. Okay, right now we're going to let, with the next exhalation, we're going to let our hands be as supported by the legs as possible. So exhale, drop your attention, drop the weight from the shoulders through the upper arms, past the elbows, through the lower arms, through the hands. So that the arms are kind of like guy wires right now, okay? They are grounded, they are supporting the shoulders. And with the next inhalation, lift the arms. Okay, again, place the hands on the thighs, pay attention to the shoulders, release the upper part of the shoulders. And pay attention to the deltoids and the areas connecting your shoulders to the neck and skull as you lift the hands. Exhale, drop the hands. Breathe into the shoulders. Inhale, pay attention to the shoulders. As you raise your hands, just let them hover above your knees. Okay, it's not possible to have relaxed shoulders when our hands and arms are not supported, okay? This is a great way to demonstrate it. You can just follow the whole anatomy, like the places where the shoulders connect at the neck, at the skull, in the between the vertical part of the shoulder blade and the spine with the arms. You can follow all the places where the shoulders connect and notice how much more work it is when your hands are not supported. Now, right now, we're focusing on trying to relax the shoulders as much as possible, even when the hands are in the air. But we wanted to just notice sometimes when you're working, if you place your hands on the desktop or on the armrest of your chair, just how relaxing a simple thing like that can be for your shoulders. Okay, let's do just a few simple circles where we're going to do a full rotation in the ball and socket joint. So it's going to be forward, up, back, and down. Forward, up, back, and down with the breath. Okay, the shoulders and the hips, those are the joints that connect the extremities to the axial skeletal system, our main skeletal system, the rib cage and the spine and the head. There's just so much going on. There are muscle groups that connect the shoulders to the collarbone, to the breastbone, to the spine, to the rib cage, to the upper arm. There are a lot of different muscle groups, and they all need to be contracted and released in the form of gentle movement in order to keep everything safe and fluid. Remember that saying that we say motion is motion. So it's particularly true in a sensitive and small joint like this. And by the way, when doing any kind of a movement practice, remember, it's always okay to fatigue muscles. It's never okay to feel any twinging or, the next stage, which after twinging would be pain at the joints, and the most sensitive joints, as we said, are shoulder and knee. So always be careful. We're going to stand up for a bit, okay, and use a prop that everyone has, which is the wall, all right? So stand at the wall here and place your arm approximately at shoulder height with 5 fingers pressing into the wall. All right, don't let your pinky have like the deepest fingerprint. We want all 5 fingers pressing into the wall, and take a moment to just get a nice stable base of support. In this case, it's from your feet, okay? It's a smaller base of support than we had from the pelvis. It's also farther from the spine. So take a minute to let your weight sink into the pelvis, and then press your fingers in the wall. And what we're going to do is, facing forward, we're going to bring the elbow gently forward, not feeling any strain in the front of the shoulder. We're going to move the elbow forward by it's almost like we want to shine a light, like a beam of light that's attached. We strip to the front of the shoulder, move it up that far wall. Okay, what we don't want to do here is move one hip back or the other hip back, or move our chest away from facing the wall in front of us. It's all rotating the elbow work by bringing the shoulder blades closer to the spine and the back, and giving the front of the shoulder a chance to release and lengthen. Don't do anything here. It's hard to believe that a simple movement like this could cause injury or could be too much, but actually, because we are, it's called like a closed kinetic chain, because we're bound by the wall on one side and the connection of our shoulder at the other, all the motion is being concentrated, all the effort on this one joint. So don't do anything too much. If your elbow doesn't face the ground or doesn't come forward, that's fine. You have to respect what's going on. There's a lot of information that can be gained about chronic, cumulative strain that's going on in the shoulder by what we're doing now. And release. Okay, again, take a moment to support yourself, to have a stable base of support through the feet, and let your pelvis drop a little bit more heavily, and walk your hand up the wall. Okay, walk your hand up the wall. This is the motion. You think it's being done by your fingers, but it's being supported by the deltoids, the muscles on top of the shoulders here. Okay, it's creating an opening in the front of the shoulder and in the rhomboids, in the upper spinal muscles. Okay, now the purpose of this movement is to see how far you can get, to see what's going on. Now, I wouldn't expect, if you're working with a mouse all day at your computer, that your mouse hand would have the same range of motion as your other hand. Okay, so we're going to turn around. Actually, you'll turn around. I won't, because I don't want to turn my back to you. So just turn around, do the other side. All right. So take a moment. Always a stable base of support is what reduces ergonomic risk. Okay, when we're working, well, if you're lucky enough to be working standing up, then your stable base of support is your feet. If you're working sitting down, your stable base of support is feet, thighs, back of the pelvis, and to some extent your back of your torso as well. But always, always, always take the time to set up the stability in any pose, because that's the way we experience more ease. Okay, we can't go straight to the ease. We create more stability, and the ease comes on its own. All right. So let's take our hand at shoulder height. Press the 5 fingers into the wall, feet rooting down into the mat, pelvis sinking heavily, and walk your other hand. And my guess is you probably started with your dominant hand, so this is probably your non-dominant, your non-mousing hand. So you might have more flexibility on this second side. Okay. Again, we have the compressive action on the top of the shoulder, creating an opening in the front of the shoulder and across the back. The muscles joining the back to the scapula and the shoulder blades, and also the back to the top of the arm bone. More stability, you want more ease? Root down, sink down a little bit deeper, let your pelvis go a little bit heavier. All right? And bring your hands back. Okay. Let's just take another way of looking at the relationship of the extremities to the sockets that support them by switching our relationship to gravity. So you don't need any props here, you don't even need a mat, just needs to lie on the floor as is, all right? Just lie on the floor for a second here. And let the pelvis sink into the floor and the shoulder blades sink into the floor. And bringing both knees in. Raise your heels so that your legs are straight. And raise both arms, okay? So if you're like most people, you have probably, if you've reached your arms forward, you have probably spread the shoulder blades apart, lengthening the muscles of your spine. Take a moment here to draw the arms back into the shoulder sockets, okay? So your arms have reached away from the shoulder sockets, spreading, releasing the muscles of the spine. We want to pull those scapulae back in towards the spine in order to draw the arms into their sockets. We can actually do that a few times just to notice the relationship of those extremities back to where they originate. Okay, now we don't have to do this with the hip socket because the legs are much, much heavier and there's much less of a curving forward, although there is some range of motion in the place where the spine meets the pelvis. There's a tiny, there's only like 1 millimeter range of motion versus tremendous range of motion in the muscles of the upper back. So again, draw the arms back into the spine, and this is a very, very active pose. Okay, now let's just sit up for a second. I want to show you that it's possible to do this with the shoulders even when you're sitting at your desk. It's a matter of reaching forward, okay? The lower point on the triangle of your shoulder blades has moved away from the spine on both sides. And now just feel those points coming back together as you draw your arms back into their sockets, okay? This is the point of the body where the extremities meet the torso, which is worth paying attention to, okay? So again, in the reaching forward here, we are using the front of the shoulders here to compress in order to release the back body, and then we're going to pull the shoulder blades together, compressing the back body in order to release the front of the shoulder. Again, take a moment, see what's going on with the shoulders. Okay, let's do a arm lift on one side to just take the shoulder up in a full flexion with shoulders raised as flexion and down, it's called extension. So that's obviously one of the purposes of keeping a healthy range of motion in the shoulder so that when we go up to reach for something, we can. You know, if you've had a shoulder injury, you know it's not so easy to reach up. So we're going to ground ourselves through both sides of the pelvis, paying particular attention to the side that we're going to be moving away from. We need an anchor in order to create a lengthening, okay? And let's just take that arm up. Okay, this is called shoulders inflection. It requires, now not everybody can raise their arm straight above their head. In fact, I can't, because I've had, I can't straighten my left elbow because I have a metal in my elbow. But It's also the length of your big muscles in the back. You may have short lats, and that's the muscle that contains your lower spine, connects the lower spine to the upper arm here. And there are all kinds of reasons that a person cannot reach overhead. We just want to discover what our limitation is right now and work safely within that range of motion. That's our only goal. Okay, not to get anywhere in a posture, but just to see what information it tells us about what kind of attention we need to pay to our body. And bring that arm back down, okay? Again, root down, especially through the sitting bone, because to get a lengthening, we have to be anchored. We need to set up the stability in any posture. In order to experience the ease, we do want to see how much ease we can find in the upper arms here, okay? So with the exhalation, root down, sink down with the pelvis, stabilize. And there's a lot of information in the breath too. It tells you just how much ease you're experiencing in the pose. We want ease even as we compress the top of the shoulder. We want to let the stability here support us, okay? The structure of the spine, supported by the pelvis to support us where we want the ease, which is in the opening of the shoulder here. Okay. We'll do a gentle spinal twist, paying attention to the front of the shoulder joint, okay? So we always want to twist from a long spine, so we always decompress our spine first. So here again, we'll bring the shoulders into it. We will rotate them from a forward to a neutral, but supported to an external rotation, okay? The spine is long. Inhale, lengthen the spine, decompress the spine before we bring in a gentle twist. Now, we don't have to over twist the spine now because we haven't really warmed the spine up because we've been focusing on shoulders. Take your back hand, bring your thumb in towards the tailbone, fingertips to the floor, okay? And that back hand is for lengthening the spine. And by twisting that hand as though you were squeezing an orange or a lemon out on a primitive orange or lemon squeezer, we're going to open the front of that back shoulder, okay? We're pulling the back shoulder blade in towards the spine in order to rotate the hand outward to squeeze that orange. If this is your right hand, it's a clockwise motion. If it's your left hand, it's a counterclockwise motion. And breathe into the front of the shoulder. So again, we want ease in the front of the shoulder here. We don't want to overstrain it. We want to work safely. So make sure we've set up the stability here. Both sitting bones in the ground here, okay? The front hand is also for stability. Think again of guide wires. It's supporting the structure of your spine, which is a line here. We haven't leaned into this at all. The emphasis is on the front, the back shoulder, and the opening of that whole front body from the breastbone right out to the shoulder, an opening of the muscles. And gently and slowly untwisting from that. Again, take a moment here between sides with the hands resting on the thighs. Exhale, let your shoulder blades scoop down the rib cage. Inhale, reach up. To decompress the spine, okay? We don't want to twist with any compression on the vertebrae of the spine and twist to the left. Okay, so our left hand has fingertips on the mat, thumb is in towards the tailbone. Okay, we're using that hand to get lift, first of all, and then after we have protected the spine, then we squeeze that citrus fruit out towards the pinky, okay? So in order to do that, we have to draw the shoulder blade into the spine in the back, and the result is an opening of the back side of whatever side is facing behind you of the whole chest, from the breastbone right out to the top of the arm, including the shoulder. We want to experience more ease in the shoulder. root down a little bit more firmly through both sitting bones. Okay, make sure that your spine is nice and straight, that your top of your head is more or less above your lower spine, not leaning off to the back or the side. And come back. Okay, so we'll finish with an asymmetric shoulder pose, okay, and then we will do a final relaxation. So bring one arm through its range of motion at the shoulder, above your head, root down through the sitting bone, let the elbow face towards the ceiling, and drop your hand. You can pull that elbow up if you like with your other hand. Drop the hand to where it falls. Now, you want the lower ribs softer. We want to more or less keep a non-telescoping, like just a steady distance between the lower rib and the hip bone. Keep that lower rib soft. The hand is resting wherever it rests, and rotate your other hand so the thumb is facing down, and bring that hand up the spine. Now, there's no goal here. We don't necessarily want the hands to meet, but we like them to connect. So the obvious connecting medium here is a piece of clothing, unless you happen to have a strap handy. Some people's hands reach, all right? So we've got our raised hand in an externally rotated, flexed position, opening the chest, and our lower hand is in a forward, the shoulder has a forward rotation, okay? And the back, our back here is pressing into that lower hand. The hand is not pressing the lower back forward. The rib cage is relaxed. The lower ribs are softened. The upper back is pressing into the hand, and the lower elbow is influencing the position of the upper elbow. The elbows are connected, okay? And we have here an opening of the front shoulder of the raised hand and the back muscles on the side of the lower hand. We don't want any tension at all in the jaw or the neck here, so make sure to exhale and release your jaw, and you can rest your head on the upper hip. Slowly, slowly, slowly release the lower hand, and then release the upper hand, and switch sides. Bring the other hand up. You can pull the elbow if that doesn't put too much pressure on the shoulder. We want that elbow aiming in the direction of the ceiling. That's our goal, okay? Here, a maximum flexion and external rotation of the upper shoulder here. Hand rests somewhere on the back. The lower hand rotates inward and climbs up. It's the top of the hand, not the palm, of course. It's the top of the hand. It climbs up the back. Grab your shirt unless your hands happen to meet. Relax, soften the lower rib in the front, all right? And make sure that your jaw is easy here. Is prop yourself up here in a way to pay attention, to bring attention to the opening of the chest and the front of the shoulders. You can, even if you have a rolled up mat or a blanket, you can put it along the length of your spine as long as your head is also supported, okay? And you want to open the arms, whether or not you're using a prop here. Lie down and open the arms so that they're in like an A shape. Your back body is draped over this makeshift bolster, okay? We've worked the arms, so they really require our maximum relaxation. So whatever is comfortable with your legs, you can do. You can use straight legs here, or you can bring your feet out to the width of the mat and let the knees support each other. And let the weight of your hands gently, gently release the front of your shoulders. Okay, now, if you're not using a bolster, the weight of your hands is still sufficient to open the front shoulder, the front of the chest cavity. Just by staying here for a few minutes and gently releasing to the force of gravity through a slow, even breathing into the front of the shoulder area, allows the muscles that we just worked to soften and release. Okay, so with every exhalation, be aware of your back body kind of molding itself to the surface below it. Now, if you have a bolster, it's like a melting, like a rounded shape melting. If you're on the floor, it's a release of your back body to the support of the mat or the floor. Okay, so let the ribs be a little bit heavier, availing themselves of all the support that the ground has to offer. And the front of the shoulders is slowly releasing through the breath, through the surrender to gravity. The shoulders require a lot of attention. Our demands on them are not symmetric. I mean, since everything is composed of supporting muscle groups, we do very, very little work that involves, or a little activity that involves reaching behind us. In general, it's a compression, it's a closing off, it's a forward reaching, forward leaning kind of existence. So we really want to keep the range of motion that we have or maximize it by keeping the muscles working in all their directions, okay? But we must at all times focus and work safely because it's such a sensitive and shallow, it's a sensitive joint and a shallow socket, okay? But it's connected. It's what gives us the mobility in the arms and the hands and allows us to work and type and do everything that we need to do. So it requires a lot of attention. Okay, so now we're going to raise the bottom arm above the head. Okay, so pay attention to what's going on in the deltoids and the upper arm, the back body, front of the shoulder, and roll onto that arm, using it as a pillow. Okay, again, attention is on that shoulder. And take a moment just to rest there before we sit up. Okay, use your hands and your arms to press yourself up. Keep the neck soft as you sit. And again, we will make sure that our hands are supported on the thighs as we sit for a moment here. Okay, integrating our attention to the shoulder, into the torso, into the spine. Like a major hub of activity that doesn't really get the attention that it deserves, but it's a wrong that can be righted. Inhale, be aware of the movement in your rib cage, connecting out to the shoulders, to the arms. As the rib cage expands, front of the shoulders open. As the rib cage contracts with the exhalation, front of the shoulders release. There's some gentle movement created here just by the act of bringing the attention to the breath. Okay, thanks for being with me. Thanks for paying attention to the shoulders. Thanks for going along with that idea. And this is something you can come back to over and over during the course of your working day. Just stop, listen to your body. The best time to do that is when it's whispering before it screams, and see what's really going on in your shoulders and give them the attention and the gentle movement that they need.